Welcome to FOI Fest 2026, a one-day conference celebrating Freedom of Information's 21st birthday, where we'll discuss the achievements, challenges and future of FOI. I'm Gavin Freeguard, Director of the new State of the Future think tank, one of the people behind today's event, and your moderator for some of the day. It's wonderful to see so many of you here in the room and online, bringing so many different perspectives on FOI. Show of hands, and do put your hand up to whichever of these you think apply to you. How many of you are regular FOI requesters? Quite a few. How many of you are more used to responding to FOIs as information rights practitioners? Again, we've got quite a few. Campaigners? Journalists? Academics? Policy people? Central government? Nobody admitting to that one. Local government? Regulators? Definitely got a few of them in the room. Wider public sector? Excellent. So you'll see that we've got a huge amount of diversity, but hopefully we've all got something in common. One last show of hands. Who is interested in freedom of information? Excellent. Did anyone not put their hand up there? Because you may have come to the wrong place. Now, before I properly introduce today's event, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're here in the room, the toilets are just up the stairs, and then you'll be able to see signs directing you around. No fire alarm is planned, so if you hear the fire alarm go, panic and run very quickly up those stairs and back towards the glass doors. You can get on the Wi-Fi. You shouldn't need a password. It's BBK-Wi-Fi. We expect everyone to follow the My Society Code of Conduct, which ensures a harassment-free experience for everyone. You can find that at mysociety.org/code-of-conduct. If you do need to report an incident or have any questions whatsoever about the day that aren't answered by your very lovely programme, but even those that might be answered by it, but you just like a chat, you can find the organisers with yellow lanyards. Anyone wearing a red lanyard has requested not to be photographed, so please make sure they're not in any photos that you might take. If you're online, hopefully everything is working well, and obviously you won't be able to hear me if it's not, so it's completely superfluous me saying that. But should you need any assistance during the day, you can email foinetwork@mysociety.org. Whether you're here at Birkbeck or online, you can submit your questions to our speakers and upvote questions that like on Slido. You will see the details behind me on the screen, and you'll see them on slides throughout the day. You can either scan the QR code now, or you can go to slido.com and enter the code 2479138. That's 2479138. I sound like a bingo call. Right. If you're here in the room, you'll also be able to ask questions the old-fashioned way by raising your hand. Today's conference is possible thanks to several organisations. First, a very big thank you to the Joseph Rowntree Reform Trust for some funding, to Birkbeck College through Dr. Ben Worthy for hosting. Ben tells me that there's a great FOI connection with Birkbeck. One of their alumni, Ramsay MacDonald, former Prime Minister, was apparently pushing for cabinet agendas to be released, unsuccessfully. And Charter 88 were also based in this building, the sort of campaign for democracy as well. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to eCase for sponsoring today's event. Now, eCase are set up in the foyer outside. If anyone would like to chat to them about their work, I know that they would really like to talk to you. And they've got their conference for FOI practitioners coming up on the 4th of March in Edinburgh. Some more details from eCase in the foyer on their website. Today is also brought to you by several organisations: State of the Future, Democracy for Sale, the Campaign for Freedom of Information, Transparency International UK, and of course My Society, who've been involved in organising today. There are also some other journalists and campaigners that we've been meeting with regularly over the last year or so to help build today's conference and the FOI network, which we'll be telling you more about later as well. So a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved in making today happen. Unnecessary secrecy in government leads to arrogance in governance and defective decision-making. The perception of excessive secrecy has become a corrosive influence in the decline of public confidence in government. Moreover, the climate of public opinion has changed. people expect much greater openness and accountability from government than they used to. That's the opening paragraph of Your Right to Know, the Blair government's proposals for a Freedom of Information Act published in 1997. The Lord Chancellor in that document described the legal right to information as being central to a mature democracy. The Prime Minister himself said that the traditional culture of secrecy will only be broken down by giving people that right, a fundamental and vital change in the relationship between government and government. Now, that's a far cry from Blair's later reflection that he had been a naive, foolish, irresponsible nincompoop for introducing FOI. There is really no description of stupidity, no matter how vivid, that is adequate. I quake at the imbecility of it. That's Blair on FOI, by the way, not me on Blair's views. Now, this year, FOI comes of age, turning 21. It's 21 years since both the Freedom of Information Act and Freedom of Information Scotland Act came into effect. In that time, FOI has often made the news, quite literally helping break countless stories. Several attempts to row back on it have been seen off. Proposals to extend and improve it continue to be put forward, whether the Making Work Pay white paper, which references extending FOI to private companies with public contracts, or the very live discussions in the Scottish Parliament in recent months. So how did we get here? How well is FOI currently working? And where do we want to go next? Well, luckily, we've got lots of brilliant speakers in the audience and on stage to answer those questions and more for us today. You'll find the full agenda on your programmes, but just to give you a sense of what we'll be going through, we'll be kicking off very shortly with a keynote from Warren Seddon, the Director of FOI and Transparency at the Information Commissioner's Office, followed by a panel discussion on what has 21 years of FOI changed. We'll then take a short break and back at 11:25 for our first set of lightning talks. Those will be followed by some skills sessions, imparting lots of wisdom about how to use FOI more effectively. There'll then be lunch at 1:45. You'll be able to go outside for that. Woburn Square has a food market and lots of other places around as well. And if you'd like, during the lunch break, there is optional structured networking in this room at 1:30. We'll be back at 2 for our afternoon keynote. That is from David Hamilton, the Scottish Information Commissioner, again followed by a panel discussion on what is next for FOI. After another short break, we'll be back at 3:10 for some more skills sessions, and then some more lightning talks before Louise Crowe from My Society gives us some closing remarks at 4:20, and we finish at 1:30. That isn't the end of the day. If you'd like to join us, we have drinks afterwards at the College Arms. You can see this very high-tech map. It's about 4 minutes work from the green bit on Birkbeck College down to the College Arms, which is where the red flag is there. Now, I mentioned the FOI network, and you'll hear more about that later. We're hoping that this today is very much the start of a conversation about FOI and not the end of it. The FOI network is currently an informal coalition of some civil society organisations, journalists and academics with interest in FOI in the UK. And those involved include requesters and those with wider interests in policy. The group so far is providing space to share information and insights on FOI and plans to coordinate future activity, including events like this one. So over the next few months, we're going to be exploring how to expand and formalise that network and its various activities, thanks to a grant from JRRT. So again, there's information on your programme, but you can also sign up there for further information or scan the QR code. A quick reminder that if you do want to ask questions or upvote them, it's slido.com. You can use that QR code or go to slido.com and enter 2479138. Now, very shortly, I will introduce Warren to the stage for our morning keynote. But before that, we have a message from someone who can't be here today, and that's John Edwards, the Information Commissioner.
Good morning. I'm John Edwards, the Information Commissioner. Thank you for inviting me to speak at the inaugural FOI Fest. It's fantastic to see so many people with an interest in freedom of information gather to share their knowledge and experience. I'm only sorry I can't be with you in person today. The Freedom of Information Act is vital to our democracy. Last year, we celebrated 20 years of this legislation, which has made public authorities more open and accountable to the people they serve. But we also looked to the future and both the opportunities and challenges for transparency as technology evolves. First, I want to be frank about some of the challenges we're facing as the regulator. So far, the number of complaints we receive is tracking a third up year on year. We expect to receive a record over 10,000 complaints by the end of this financial year. Some of you may remember the backlog of complaints we built up during the COVID pandemic. Our current caseload is even higher. This means it's taking us far longer than we would like to allocate cases. But I can assure you that we're exploring how we can work more innovatively to rise to this challenge. And we continue to prioritise cases as quickly as we can where appropriate in line with our framework. I expect this will be a familiar challenge for many of you. Our increase in complaints reflects an increase in FOI requests across the board at public authorities. We're in the same boat, expected to do more with less and navigate this influx with resources that may be stretched to their limit. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly why requests are increasing, but AI is adding a new complication. Parliament likely didn't anticipate the use of generative AI chatbots when they passed the legislation in 2000. For example, we've heard of cases where an AI model has hallucinated information rights or decision notices that don't exist. We hope to soon publish some practical guidance for public authorities on navigating AI and applying the principles of the FOI Act. On the flip side, technology could also help us reach a solution. I'm pleased that my office has received extra funding from government to explore tech opportunities this year, while we await news on the longer-term funding requested in the spending review. We're still figuring out what this looks like in practice, but automation is a good example. If we can automate turning complaints into cases on our casework system, our staff will have more time to focus on providing timely responses. After all, it's our job to ensure people's rights are being upheld. We also have a responsibility to support public authorities by providing certainty on the law, as well as advice and guidance. Our upstream regulation team are always developing a new tool or resource for practitioners. We've been sharing training via newsletters, webinars, and self-serve resources. We've also published case studies to help showcase best practice, as well as practice recommendations and enforcement notices. But let's not forget that more FOI requests means more people are exercising their fundamental right to access information. And this is really positive. We will continue to hold public authorities to account and advocate for transparency as a priority. My main takeaway for you today is one of collaboration. We're all facing the challenge of increasing volumes that aren't necessarily being met with more resources. We know we need to work with the FOI community to tackle this issue. Whether you're a requester, a practitioner, or a public authority, you may need more support from us, and we're figuring out the best way to deliver this. For now, watch this space. We'll be sharing more information as soon as we can. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Excellent. A big thank you to John and the ICO for sending that through. And John, in calling this the inaugural conference, apparently committing us to doing it every year. If anyone would like to help us out with that, we are definitely looking for funding options. So thank you in advance. One final thing before I hand over to Warren for the keynote, just to say today's event is being recorded, it is on the record, and you will be able to watch nearly all of the sessions back after the event today as well. And I'm sure we'll email you out with details of that when it is available. That is more than enough from me, so it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage our morning keynote. That is Warren Seddon from the ICO.